We are back for the start of the 2023-2024 NBA season, and I could not be more hyped about this upcoming season. We have so much we need to talk about, so much we need to discuss, and today we are going to start in this video talking about my finals picks, who I think will win the championship, and my MVP pick for this season. If you remember from last year, I picked the Nuggets to make the NBA Finals, and I picked Joel Embiid to win the MVP. I was dead right on both of those picks, so that puts a ton of pressure on me this year to continue the winning tradition, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I was one of the very few people out there that you saw actually picking the Denver Nuggets because a majority of the people, they don't like to pay attention to what their eyes are seeing, so that's what I did. I picked the Denver Nuggets, thought that with a healthy roster, they'd be by far the best team in basketball, and that's exactly who they were. I thought the media was not going to give Nikola Jokic another regular season MVP last year, and that was exactly what happened, which is why I leaned Joel Embiid, because I know how the media narrative works, and that's exactly what got pushed. And if you go back and look at the video last year, I said all of that in that video. But we're going to get into this season, because this season is going to be insane. It's going to be insanity. It's exactly what we want as NBA fans. There's parity, there's suspense, there's uncertainty about certain situations. There's situations that could blow up. There's chemistry experiments. There's guys that have moved around. Damian Lillard comes to mind. The Boston Celtics blew it up with Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday now. The Denver Nuggets changed some of their role rotation pieces. The Phoenix Suns went and added Bradley Beal. The Memphis Grizzlies added Marcus Smart. We had a lot of change, and then the Golden State Warriors obviously added Chris Paul. So much to talk about in this upcoming season. Today's video, we're going to focus on specifically who I got in the NBA Finals and the NBA MVP that I would pick for this upcoming season. Before we get into it, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We are going to go crazy this season in growth, in videos, and content. Last year was incredible. It was our first full year covering the NBA, and this year is going to be another awesome season where I suspect we will have a lot of fun, a lot of good interactions, and a lot of good controversy. A lot of people were attacking me last year for a lot of my takes, telling me I was stupid for thinking the Denver Nuggets were going to win the NBA Finals. People told me I was stupid when I said that the Atlanta Hawks were not very good. People from Atlanta, they hate me. Turns out I was probably right in that. I said that the Kyrie Irving trade to the Dallas Mavericks, not a good trade. I was also right about that. So we had a very successful season. Now, on the other hand, I was very wrong about the Miami Heat. But let's ignore that one. We're going to get into, in the next video, we're going to talk about my 5 hot takes for the season. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe, because that's going to be electric. I have some doozies for this upcoming season. But let's start with this. There's so much parity in the NBA this year, and the Western Conference is absolutely loaded. When you switch to the Eastern Conference side, not quite as much parity on that side. It kind of feels like a 2-team race, because you see the Philadelphia 76ers potentially falling apart with James Harden. You see the Cleveland Cavaliers were decent last year, not really built for the playoffs. The New York Knicks, decent, still wouldn't pick them over the 2 juggernauts in the Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat, losing Max Strus, losing Gabe Vincent, relying on a few more young players. They almost missed the playoffs last year. Going to be interesting. You are going to have a lot more young teams. The Orlando Magic are going to be a team to watch. And it'll be very interesting, the return of Cade Cunningham for the Pistons. Maybe that team still sucks, but it'll be very interesting to watch a lot of these young guys, especially with the new rookies in the NBA and the second-year guys. Going to be electric basketball across the league. But the Eastern Conference is about 2 teams. It is about the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. These teams are tied to the hip because Jrue Holiday is now in Boston. And Jrue Holiday is going to have an absolute vengeance for the Milwaukee Bucks in this upcoming season. Both rosters are very, very good. Both rosters are deep, and both starting lineups are very solid. I think it'll be an absolute battle of a series, and it will come down to what stars shine the brightest. I think the Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to have a fantastic season. I think he's going to come back with a vengeance. I think Damian Lillard is going to have a great year and have the opportunity to play on a big stage for really the first time in his career. He made the Western Conference Finals when he was with CJ McCollum in Portland, but they really didn't have a chance against the Golden State Warriors. I think they lost that series. I think it was in 4, but they lost it very handily. The Boston Celtics adding Kristaps Porzingis, being able to spread the floor, a guy who played really good defense last year, was very efficient on offense, can rebound the basketball, finally giving them some size. And you're adding Drew Holiday, who's like a better version of Marcus Smart, can kind of facilitate the offense at the end of games, is exactly what the Boston Celtics needed. So both of these teams, in my opinion, made improvements. For this upcoming season and this season alone, I am picking the Boston Celtics out of the Eastern Conference. I think that the Boston Celtics have a very well-rounded roster. I think you're looking at a team that can shoot at every position. They're going to be able to bring in guys off the bench. Some kind of underrated additions this offseason. Yes, they lost Grant Williams. Yes, they got rid of Malcolm Brogdon, and they got rid of Robert Williams. But with the addition of Porzingis, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday. They added O'Shea Brissett, who was a solid player for the Indiana Pacers last year. Peyton Pritchard, they re-signed. He's going to get a bigger role. Guy's an absolute sniper. And you added Lamar Stevens, played forward, played decent minutes for the Cleveland Cavaliers last year. And then they have Svi, and excuse me, I can't say his last name. I call him Malik Alikimaka is what it looks like. But Svi will be coming off the bench. Luke Cornett, obviously, Sam Hauser, both be getting minutes for the Boston Celtics. The thing that'll be interesting to see, will they go add one more big man or will they stick with Luke Cornett? There's a lot of season before that any of that needs to happen. So my guess would be Boston makes one move throughout the season to maybe shore up your big man lineup a little bit. And a lot of this relies on the health of Kristaps Porzingis, which I'm going to be honest, putting my reputation on the line scares me a lot. But I believe if this Boston Celtics team is healthy, I think they have so much versatility. They have so much shot making. They have such defensive prowess. And giving Coach Mazzulla a full off season will give us an opportunity to know if he's a good coach or a really horrible coach. I think I lean more towards he's not a very good coach, but this will give him the opportunity to prove one way or the other. And I think that this team has the opportunity to make real noise in the playoffs. Switching to the Western Conference, which is the more intense, exciting conference, in my opinion, because you have a lot of teams that you would expect to take a step forward. I want to mention teams like the New Orleans Pelicans. What will the Dallas Mavericks do this year with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic? The Los Angeles Lakers, the Sacramento Kings were electric last year. The Clippers getting their guys back. Can they make it through a season fully healthy? The Oklahoma City Thunder should make significant steps forward as you get Chet Holmgren and you have the development of some of your young guys, and Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues to develop. The Golden State Warriors obviously adding Chris Paul. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a team that I think is an absolute sleeper. I think they take a step forward with Anthony Edwards being an absolute superstar this season. I'm a huge Anthony Edwards fan. I think he's going to finish this season in the top 10 player in the NBA discussion. I think he's absolutely going to be there. And then I think we're going to get more chemistry out of the Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns experiment. And if I am completely wrong about that midway through, well, I think we'll see a significant trade getting Karl Anthony Towns out of there and seeing what they're able to get and kind of rebuilding that roster a little bit would be their only move after the Rudy Gobert trade. But my pick is going to stand by the same pick I had last year, and I'm going to pick the Denver Nuggets to make and win the NBA Finals over the Boston Celtics this year. This offseason, I just can't believe it. Yet again, the Denver Nuggets are being disrespected. People love the Los Angeles Lakers. I just can't believe it. Every year we get into it, the Los Angeles Lakers are picked by almost everybody to win the NBA Finals. I'm going to stick with the Denver Nuggets. I know we're scared about the losses of Jeff Green. I know we're scared about the loss of Bruce Brown, but you're going to see a step up in the second year for Christian Brown. You're going to see they added Justin Holiday, who I think is just about as good as Jeff Green, maybe not quite as good of a locker room guy, but he still provides some value off the bench. You're going to continue to see a full healthy season of Jamal Murray, a season of a little less stress and intensity on Nikola Jokic. Aaron Gordon, can he take that another step forward? Michael Porter Jr., I think, will be a massive key to this upcoming Denver Nuggets season. They will play with a ton of confidence. Now, one of the things that could hold them back, did they spend the offseason really locked into continuing to progress their basketball game? I do think there is a chance with every team that just won an NBA Finals that you kind of get a little lackadaisical. The NBA regular season is a grind. It's 82 games. Will they take it seriously for the whole time? Will they kind of take nights off? That's all a question that needs to be asked. It's very hard in the NBA to win back-to-back NBA Finals. And to me, I do think, I do realize that. I do find it very hard to win back-to-back NBA Finals. But the reality is, I look around the league and I don't see a clear-cut team that I think is better. If the Denver Nuggets are rolling when it comes playoff time, I think that they're clearly the team to beat. Phoenix, obviously, that was one of the other teams I didn't mention. But Phoenix is going to be, that's a huge question mark. You kind of got worse at center, getting rid of Ayton, trading him, which they kind of needed to do, but I'm not the biggest believer in use of Nurkic. He's a horrible defensive player. And you added Bradley Beal, lost Chris Paul. It's going to be a lot more, scoring potential. But we'll see how that all adds up in Phoenix. But when it comes down to Denver versus Boston, I just think if Denver is rolling in the playoffs, then they play offense at a level like I don't know that I've ever seen, because you have a guy in Nikola Jokic that can manipulate the game in such a way that kind of just controls everything. It makes everyone on his team way better. I think we get a Jamal Murray all-star season, and I'm picking Nikola Jokic to win the NBA MVP for this upcoming season. I went back and forth on this because I think Giannis is going to have an awesome season. I think there's a chance that Luka comes back and has an awesome revenge season. I think there's a chance that Boston has the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference and Jayson Tatum is in those discussions. But ultimately, I landed on Nikola Jokic because I think when you look at the end of the season, we all know last year that Nikola Jokic should have won the NBA MVP. He didn't really care at the end of the season. It didn't seem like he kind of, they didn't play their best basketball to end the regular season. And the narrative was not on Jokic's side. People were holding it against him, the fact that he had only made the Western Conference Finals, and they gave it to a guy who had never made it past the second round of the playoffs. And Joel Embiid, I'm not going to mention his name much. Guy drives me nuts, the praise that he got last year. But I think Nikola Jokic is going to win the NBA MVP this year. His efficiency is going to be just as good as ever. His team record's going to be elite. And the way that he makes his players better around him is going to be great. So you're going to have team wins as a thing. The best player in the NBA, check. The efficiency analytics side of the argument, check. You're going to have Nikola Jokic, who also proved that he's a pretty good defender when he needs to be. I believe that you're going to look at a Denver Nuggets team that's going to win the NBA Finals, have another MVP for Nikola Jokic. And if all that happens, we're going to have to start having some interesting conversations about Nikola Jokic and where he lands when it comes to the all-time player pyramid. I think he would cement himself in the top 20, probably puts himself ahead of guys like Kevin Durant, guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo would be clearly in front of them. And we're going to have some interesting conversations. So very, very excited for this upcoming season. Don't forget to watch, subscribe so that you can see the next video where we release our top 5 hot takes sneak preview. I think the Lakers are going to be worse than what everyone else thinks. But that's all we're going to say about that. Thanks for watching. Again, appreciate all the love, support. Can't wait for this next NBA season. Don't forget to subscribe. Cyborg out.